Matt Mazzaros, the planner with the Planning Department. You're all here tonight seeking relief from the Smithtown zoning ordinances, and it's our job to try and help you achieve your relief whenever possible. It's up to you to provide us with precise and accurate information so we as a board can make a decision based on the facts presented tonight. You can think of this board as an intermediary between you and the town of Smithtown. We try to take the information that you have and help give relief where it's warranted. We as a board must consider 5 conditions, and they're listed for you right here on the right. Whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of a variance. Whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other method. Whether the variance is substantial, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood, and whether the alleged difficulty was self-created. Now, there's some procedures we have for tonight's meeting. Cases will be called in order as they are advertised. When you're called, please present your certificates of posting and mailing to Mr. Donadio. Actually, Mr. Donadio is not here, Mr. Barnes right here. Then you'll be asked to go to the podium where you'll state your name and address for the record, and spell your last name if it's at all confusing, because Rick likes it that way. At the end of your presentation, if anyone in the audience would like to speak on your case, they'll be given one opportunity to do so. Then the applicant can come back to the podium to address their concerns. You only get one chance to speak from the audience, so if you think of anything to say afterwards, you're not going to get an opportunity, so have your stuff put together when you come up. Once the public hearing is closed, no further information will be accepted concerning the case. And there are 3 ways to find out about your case. You can stay after the hearing, but there's no guarantee that your case will be acted on. You can call the planning department tomorrow, or you can wait and be notified by mail. I believe there's only one adjournment for this evening. It's case number 18167, 16 Brand Street. Anyone here for that case? That's going to be heard on June 11th. I believe that's it, and you ready to call all the rest of them? All right. Thank you.
The first case, number 18166, Caesar Chalkin, located at 8 Edna Lane, Comac. The property is zoned R10, single-family residence. The applicant requests a variance to decrease the minimum setback of retaining walls measuring 3 foot, 4.5 foot, and 6 foot high from the property line to 0 setback, and to decrease the minimum setback for proposed retaining walls measuring 2 foot and 3 foot high from the property line to 0 foot, to decrease the minimum setback of a retaining wall from the property line that is 4 feet high to 0 feet setback, and to permit an existing 6 foot tall fence on top of an existing 4 foot retaining wall located in the front yard, and to permit an existing 4 foot fence on top of a 2 foot existing tiered retaining wall.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Oh, we don't have to swear you in. Just state your name and address.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Michael Rant from the firm Bladicus and Panetta, 23 Spring Street, Oyster Bay, New York. I'm here this evening representing the owner of 8 Edna Lane, Mr. Caesar Chalkin, and we're seeking a variance in connection with maintaining and replacing an existing retaining wall.
I'm sorry, what?
It's not an attorney.
Oh, you're not an attorney?
No, I'm an engineer.
Oh, okay. Do we have a power of attorney?
I don't see it here. Is your client here?
Yes, Mr.
Oh,
Chalkin
if
is
we
here.
could just have him first, that'd be.
Sure. I apologize.
That's okay.
Can I have your spelling, which is spelled as
R-A-N-T.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
If you just state your name and address for the record.
My name is Cesar Chalkin, C-H-A-I-K-I-N, and my address is 205 Candlewood Path, Dixie, New York, 11746.
Okay. Just
The
name of the
street?
street again.
C-A-N-D-L-E-W-O-O-D, Path, P-A-T-H.
Candlewood. Okay, and would you like this gentleman to speak on your behalf?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Michael Rant from the firm Blatticus and Pinetta. We're the engineers on the project. And we were retained by Mr. Shakin to legalize the existing retaining walls and replace a previously collapsed retaining wall on the property. Mr. Shakin purchased the property in 2004 in its current state. Edna Lane is a steep slope heading from the south to the north, and many of the homes on the the west side of Edna Lane have retaining walls on both the north and south side to create a flat building pad when the homes were constructed. Along the north side of the property, there's a series of concrete block walls. Again, those walls did exist when Mr. Shakin purchased the property in 2004. And those walls are really, they're necessary structures to, in order to encompass the existing swimming pool in the rear yard, which is a legal structure, as well as the existing dwelling, which has a setback of only 6.5 feet from the property line. So these walls are necessary for access to the rear yard, as well as maintaining the pool in its current location. So we're here this evening to, again, maintain these retaining walls that were constructed prior to Mr. Shakin purchasing the property, as well as reconstructing a portion of the front retaining wall. You can see from the photographs, photo A, part of that retaining wall, about 6 feet in height, had collapsed about 2 years ago. And at that point, we had been retained to design a new wall to replace that. So again, we're here this evening to maintain existing retaining walls that have existed prior to the current owners purchasing the property, as well as reconstructing in place the existing collapsed retaining wall. These walls have existed for, again, prior to 2004. Many of the homes in this area have similar layouts of retaining walls because of the steep slope nature of the area. So they fit within the character of the property, and they will have no adverse impact to the surrounding neighborhood by maintaining these retaining walls. Any questions from the board? I'd be happy to answer them.
I just had one comment for the record. This is kind of a unique situation. We had visited the site, and it appears that your client is the impacted party.
Correct.
Being that the retaining wall is holding back the neighbor's property, so that the height that normally would be a problem with the variance is affecting him, no one else.
Correct. The only way to access the backyard adjacent to the garage is to have a retaining wall. So when the home was constructed, it was a necessary improvement. And again, yes, he is the only person that's affected by having the wall.
And
in
the
that
fence
location.
that'll be installed will be installed on his property, not
Correct.
on the neighbor's.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Anyone on the board have any questions?
No question.
Planning?
I was unclear to us in planning if the fence that was described is around the swimming pool, and if it is fully enclosed, if the applicant could give us some more information on that.
The fence is entirely enclosed on the sides and rear yard of the property, and the walls that are the fence that's existing is on top of the existing retaining wall.
But not currently.
Well,
There didn't appear to be any fences currently.
the wall, because it's a 6-foot high wall that's being replaced, the wall that collapsed, that acted as part of the pool enclosure. So there would be a gate enclosing that portion of the property, so that access to the rear yard would not be accessible other than through a self-closing, self-latching gate.
But then the fence would be installed on the top of the wall that's going to be on that property line?
No, they would be just on the lower side. The wall itself would act as the pool enclosure, and the gate would close the house to the wall.
Do you know if that meets the town code?
I'm not sure. I'd have to look into it. I'm not sure if a wall going down meets the code. I know if the wall was going up, it would.
Yeah.
That's something you can work with on.
You
Well,
would just
we-
need to verify with.
Yeah, if a 4-foot fence for pool enclosure is required, as well as for safety purposes on top of the wall, that would be installed in accordance with New York State Building Code.
Okay. All right, anyone in the audience have any questions or concerns? All right, that being said, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing. Oh, hold on. Just come up and you got to state your name and address for the record.
Good evening. My name is John Karipas. Last name is K-A-R-I-P-A-S. I live at 20 Chatham Road in Comac, just around the corner from the residence. My mother and my sister are actually the owners at the above residence. One of the questions that I have is the retaining wall that you're...
Just address the board here, and we'll ask him when he
Oh,
comes up.
okay, sorry about that. So one of the questions that I have, the engineering firm that would be erecting this new wall, what would it be doing to ensure the safeguard that it doesn't happen again?
We'll ask that question. Thank you. We'll ask it, Neil.
Okay.
Is that it?
For now, yes, thank you.
The current wall, the wall that had collapsed, the reason it collapsed because it wasn't constructed properly and didn't have the necessary geogrid reinforcement. So we've designed a wall and we've submitted calculations to the planning department that account for the height of the wall, the size of the wall, and the proper reinforcement specifications. And that wall would be constructed in accordance with our plans in order to, again, safeguard and prevent any future collapse of a new wall.
Okay, my question to you would be then, GeoGrid requires you to put it back a certain distance based on the height of the wall.
Correct.
How do you intend to do that without disturbing the neighbor's property?
Well, part of the requirement of the planning department is to gain I forgot what the wording of it, but it was I believe an easement, an agreement with the neighbor that allow us to excavate onto his property to properly install the wall. And that would need to be in place prior to
Prior.
issuance of a building permit.
Okay. All right, so as long as you work that out. All right, thank you. Entertain a motion to close here?
I have another question.
You can't ask another, you only get one opportunity. You can ask anything you want to them after the case, but once we close the hearing, we're information gathering for the case. Anything with you guys, you can work out after.
What I want to do is I want to talk.
Yeah, but you can't. You can't. That's why we're clear in the beginning. The way the process works, they get an opportunity to speak, anyone else gets an opportunity to speak, then they get a chance to refute it, then we close the case.
Well, now he's looking for an opportunity to speak. He just asked the question at first.
You can't do that. I'm sorry, it's just the policy of this board, it's just the way we always do it. You can feel free to call the planning department for whatever information you want tomorrow. All right, thank you. Entertain a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Regularly moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Bill.
The next case is 18168 Richard Cardone, located at 6 Colonial Road, Smithtown, New York. Property is zoned R10 residential. The applicant requests a variance to reduce the minimum front yard on Colonial Road from 25 feet to 10 feet for an existing 28 square foot addition, and to reduce the minimum front yard on Colonial Road from 25 feet to 15 feet for an existing 80 square foot first floor addition to Breezeway, and to reduce the minimum side yard from 12 feet to 8 feet for an existing 80 square foot Breezeway addition, and to reduce the minimum side yard from 12 feet to 0 feet for an existing 751 square foot rear and side deck, and to reduce the minimum distance to the rear lot line from 6 feet to 3 feet for an existing accessory 314 square foot shed, and to reduce the minimum front yard on Colonial Road from 25 feet to 18 feet, and the minimum distance to the rear lot line from 6 feet to 4 feet for an existing 13 by 23 foot semi-in-ground pool, and to reduce the minimum front yard on Colonial Road from 25 feet to 0 feet for an existing 646 square foot freestanding deck, and to permit an accessory structure in the required front yard on Colonial Road, and to reduce the minimum front yard setback on Colonial Road from a lot line from 10 feet to 0 feet for an existing 6-foot fence.
Good evening.
All right, good evening, members of the board. My name is Dean Kutsubis. My address is 121 Newbridge Road, Hicksville, New York, 11801. I am a permit expediter. I'm here tonight with my client, Richard Cardone. He's the owner of the property at 6 Colonial Road in Smithtown.
Cardone, C-A-R,
We'll get it.
Okay.
sorry.
All right, that's Koutsoummbis.
It's Cardone, C-A-R-D-O-N-E.
And your
The
address?
property is 6 Colonial Road, Smithtown.
Okay. Would you like this gentleman to speak on your behalf?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right. Members of the board, we're seeking variances to maintain and legalize various improvements to the house. It seems like a lot of variances, and it is a lot of variances, but most of these variances are created because of the nature of the size of the property. It's a long and narrow property at only 50 feet wide, and all these structures, most of them have been there for at least, according to my client, at least 25 years. These structures were there. After, at some point after he purchased the house, he built most of these. The pool was there from at least 1975, and then the old pool was replaced with the newer pool in the same location. The decks are decks low to the ground, approximately, the highest point is approximately 16 inches off the ground. The front portico, or its vestibule, it's just an enclosure at the front entrance of the house. It encroaches approximately to about 10.39 feet from the property line, but it's very small, being at 4.7 by 5.83 feet wide. The shed is a rather large shed. The necessity for the shed was because there's no garage. There was a garage at one point, which did get converted to living space, and in addition to the breezeway and enclosure of the breezeway, took away the garage space. Those are the variant. In addition, we're also asking for variance on a fence. My client did speak to some of his neighbors and was able to get letters of consent from those neighbors, which he'd like to, I believe he submitted them. And if there's any questions from the board.
Does the board have any questions?
Not at this time.
No. Planning?
No, we don't have no questions.
Anyone in the audience have any questions or concerns? All right, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Regularly moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah, for 1 minute.
The next case is case number 18169, Mary Profs, located at 5 Crabapple Lane, Comac. This property is zoned R10 residence. The applicant requests a variance to reduce the minimum distance to the rear lot line from 6 feet to 3 feet for an existing semi-in-ground pool measuring 15 feet by 30, with an attached deck of 1,360 square feet.
Good evening.
Good evening, Louis Castellano for the applicant. I've handed in a power of attorney and all the necessary paperwork.
Address?
2693 Middle Country Road, Lake Grove, New York.
Okay, thank you. Want to tell us why you're here?
Well, we're here to reduce the rear yard from lot line from 6 feet to 3 foot for the existing semi-in-ground pool, 15 by 30, with a 1,360 square foot deck around the pool. It's been there for approximately 7 years. I don't think it's going to affect the character of the neighborhood. There's no environmental issues, and it was self-created. And we don't feel it's going to destroy any other neighbor's privacy or property.
Adjourn the hearing, or close the hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you, have a great evening.
Thank you.
The next application is application 18170, 45 Commerce Drive, located at 45 Commerce Drive, Hauppauge. The property is zoned LI Industrial. And the applicant requests a variance to increase the maximum height of an existing wall sign from 15 feet to 26 feet, increase the maximum permitted square footage of a proposed ground sign from 32 square feet to 54 square feet, and a variance to permit a wall sign not facing a public street.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Melanie Lacey of Sir Tillman Ballin, 100 Motor Parkway, Hauppauge, New York, on behalf of the applicant, 45 Commerce Drive, LLC.
Chief Attorney?
You're an attorney, correct?
Yes, I know I look young.
Thank you.
Before I go into well, firstly, the applicant is seeking 3 variances. One is for a proposed ground sign relating to the size of the sign. Second, the height of an existing wall sign. And third, the location of the wall sign on the side of the building as opposed to facing a public street. Before I go into the the variance considerations, I'd like to give some brief context on the enterprise underlying the application. The property is the corporate headquarters of OK Petroleum, which is a family-owned and operated business that was established in 1976. They recently purchased the property to consolidate 3 previous locations in the town of Babylon into one single location in the town of Smithtown, to have their corporate headquarters where they have offices, meeting rooms, warehouse, truck parking, and they're in the business of distributing home heating oil, gas, lubricants, auto parts, convenience store supplies. They have roughly 50 employees checking in at that location every morning, and they host clients and new business there on a regular basis. As I said, they recently moved to this location, went through site plan approval and IDA approvals, and opened their doors in 2017, so they're now seeking the sign application to finalize the property. Going through the factors, it's located within an industrial park. All of the surrounding buildings to the east, west, every coordinate is industrial. There are no surrounding residential neighbors, and therefore there would be no change produced. Secondly, it is an interior lot. The south elevation would be the only wall facing a public street. That is where they're proposing the ground sign, but like I said, they're proposing that the wall sign be on the side of the building, not facing the street, in order to keep a more, in their opinion, classier aesthetic. And that wall sign would be visible to eastbound traffic on Commerce Drive, as well as Moreland Road when it's illuminated, which it currently is not. Thirdly, the sign would be consistent with the existing signs. There is 100 Motor Parkway, has very high signs that are visible from the LIE service road, I believe measuring over 88 feet high. Recently, there was a ground sign approved in 2011, I believe, for the same building for the ground sign by this board. The variance was to allow the ground sign to be 54 square feet, which is similar to what we're proposing today. And lastly, it is a completely industrial area. It's consistent with the character and quality of the neighborhood, and they're seeking to advertise their building in a way that would be appropriate for the aesthetic of the location. If you have any other questions, I'd be happy to answer.
The only question I had was why put a sign on the side of the front, but you addressed that in your presentation.
Okay, great.
Anyone else have any questions? Planning?
Planning is concerned that having a sign not facing a public street might be precedent-setting, as it is unusual in the industrial park.
Okay, thank you. Anyone in the audience have any questions or concerns? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next case is 18171 Arthur Salander, located at 11 Delaware Avenue, Comac, New York. The property is zoned R10 Residence. The applicant requests to reduce the minimum rear yard from 50 feet to 43 feet for a proposed 125-square-foot second-story deck, and to reduce the minimum rear yard from 50 feet to 40 feet for an existing 221-square-foot first-floor addition with finished basement, and to decrease the minimum distance from any lot line from 6 feet to 3 feet for an existing 88-square-foot shed.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the board. Todd O'Connell, architect for the Salanders. I submitted a power of attorney, to represent for them. And we're here to request 2 variances, well, actually a couple more than that, but I'll start with the addition itself. There's a 2-story addition off the back of this residence that's been there, from what I could document, over 25 years. I have a survey that stated 25 years from today, which shows that obviously if it's been there, there's been no complaints. He's friendly with the neighbors. There's no impact on the surrounding neighborhood. You can't even see the addition that was built back at that time from the front of the house. So there's no environmental negative impact with this addition. So we don't feel that it's causing a detriment to the surrounding area. And obviously my clients would like to keep this addition. And they didn't even realize it was illegal until they decided to do more work on the home and submitted for all the proper permits. When it came up that this addition was built back in some time, did not have the required permits. Second, part of the new work that we're doing consists of a second floor deck, 10 by 13, not a very large deck, just a nice little balconied area. But unfortunately, due to the 50-foot rear yard requirement, that only yields us a rear yard setback of 43 feet. This rear deck is to accompany their whole family's moving in together. It's a son and daughters. They're not going for a 2-family or a parent-child. It's a very open flow house, and they're just looking to have a little private balcony area where they could sit at night. So we didn't feel that being it's in the back of the house that it would impact the surrounding neighborhood. It's an open structure. It's not a big bulky mass that we're encroaching further into the yard. It's not any further to the backyard than what the existing structure that's there today. It yields 43 feet. So being it's actually, the side neighbor can't see it on one side. You can't see it from the front, so we don't feel it's going to cause an undesirable effect to the neighborhood. Third, there's 2 sheds on the property. One of the sheds, I can document that it's been there since at least 25 years ago from an old survey. But there's another shed, very, very small. It's 8 by 11. We're talking 88 square feet. A nice little shed that you purchase and build yourself in the rear yard. Fortunately, he did put it up in a wrong location. He didn't realize he would need a permit for an 88 square foot shed. He'd rather not move it. It's kind of set, or the landscaping is done, by it, and, so he didn't feel it would be a huge request to ask for keeping that shed in that particular location. So, we understand that we're asking for some relief here. The self-created, we understand that we're asking for relief of something that was already in place. As far as being substantial, again, it depends on how you look at it. We are asking for approximately 10 feet, but it is in the rear of the house. It can't be seen, and therefore not causing an undesirable effect to the neighborhood. Again, no negative impact. So clearly the benefit achieved by my clients outweighs any detriment to the neighborhood. And with that, would love to answer any questions that this board may have.
Anyone on the board have any questions? Planning.
We have no questions.
All right. Anyone in the audience have any questions or concerns? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Regularly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Moved.
Thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Thanks.
The next application is 18172, 125 Commerce Drive, Paramount Beauty, located at 125 Commerce Drive, Hauppauge, New York. The property is zoned LI Industrial. The applicant requests a variance to reduce the required parking from 162 stalls to 109 for an existing 5,780 square foot mezzanine.
Good evening. Garrett Gray, Weber Law Group, 290 Broad Hollow Road, Millville, New York, for the applicant, Paramount Beauty. Joining me this evening is Susan Nicoletti of Paramount Beauty and Ray Caliendo of Art of Form Architecture, just in case. The subject property is located in the Hauppauge Industrial Park on the southerly side of Commerce Drive, approximately 1,275.6 feet west of Adams Avenue, with a mailing address of 125 Commerce and a section block on the lot of 181-2-1.22 on the tax map for the county of Suffolk. The lot is 3.79 acres with a frontage of 261.01 feet on Commerce Drive, is zoned LI, and is currently improved with a 48,143 square foot GFA as of right industrial building. This industrial building was recently acquired by and is occupied in its entirety by Paramount Beauty Supply. Started in 1958, Paramount Beauty distributes professional hair care, skin care, and nail products to professional beauty salons and licensed cosmetologists. Remaining a family-owned business, Paramount Beauty grew through the years from a small unit in Brooklyn to a headquarters distribution center in Edgewood, New York in the early 1990s. Because of its continued growth, Paramount Beauty recently moved to the Hauppauge Industrial Park, having acquired its current premises at 125 Commerce Drive. Paramount Beauty now has 23 stores serving the tri-state area, as well as an office in Florida, and its current corporate headquarters now in Hauppauge. Paramount Beauty presently employs almost 200 people, with 60 people working full-time at its Hauppauge location. Several of these employees are Suffolk County residents, many of whom live in the town of Smithtown. The variance sought today is necessary to ensure that Paramount can remain in its location and not have to seek a location elsewhere. As a matter of fact, the reason a variance is needed today is not even technically Paramount Beauty's fault. Shortly after its acquisition of the property, Paramount Beauty discovered that the prior owner had constructed a 5,780 square foot mezzanine without permits. As a result of this discovery, Paramount Beauty was forced to undertake the process of legalizing this mezzanine, one part of which is to obtain a parking variance for the extra parking engendered by the presence of the mezzanine. Now, again, interestingly enough, the town of Smithtown issued Paramount Beauty building permits for the renovation of the building at 125 Commerce. When we filed this variance application, we were initially just seeking the reduction of 12 parking spaces, which were made necessary by the presence of the mezzanine. It turned out, however, that a much larger parking variance was needed because there were several more spaces than was originally thought. 114 spaces are provided and 162 are required. No variance this building has been operating for years, no variance had ever been acquired, so nobody knows why, and I can't answer that here today. But I can say that there's no room to add any additional spaces. All 5 factors are still met. There's no negative impact on adjacent properties, as all of the properties are industrial, The mezzanine is only being used for storage. No additional cars are going to be present. There are, as stated before, 60 employees at the premises. The premises is not open to the public. Every now and then a sales meeting will take place at the premises, and all the salespeople will come to the headquarters. Even then, that would only max out at 101 if every single employee showed up in the area, and there are 114 spaces. Originally, it was advertised as 109 spaces, so we're actually reducing the variance sought as 114 spaces are provided. The variances sought aren't substantial, only 7.4% with regard to the mezzanine alone, and 29.6% with regard to the overall building. The benefit can't be achieved by any other means. There's no adverse effect on the environment. There will be no additional cars present as a result, or less cars present. The same exact number is going to be there. And again, the difficulty is not self-created, as the mezzanine was installed by the prior owner. That concludes the presentation. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
All right. Anyone have any questions on the board?
No question.
No? Planning?
We have no questions.
Anyone in the audience like to be heard on this application? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved?
Regularly moved. Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next application is application 18173, Mazda, Donald Saslow, located at 827 Jericho Turnpike, St. James. The property is zoned WSI Wholesale Industry. The applicant requests a variance to increase the height of a wall sign from 15 feet to 19 feet, and to increase the number of wall signs from 1 sign to 3, and increase the maximum area of a ground sign from 40 square feet to 125 square feet, and to increase the number of ground signs from 1 per site to 3.
Good evening.
Good evening. Christina Bravin, Morano Expediting, 4 Hamilton Court, Quorum, agent for the applicant, Mazda.
All good? Yep. All right. Want to tell us why you're here?
Okay. Yes. So we are requesting permission to increase the height of the wall sign from 15 feet to 19 feet. We are requesting to increase the number of wall signs from 1 to 3. We'd like to increase the maximum area of a ground sign from 40 square feet to 125 square feet, as well as increase the number of ground signs from 1 per site to 3 per site. The building is currently under renovation, and they have created a drive-up service area, and the entrance would be off of Astor Avenue. The third wall sign request is to identify the service area that they are building. The front elevation of the building facing Jericho Turnpike will have 2 wall signs, one which reads Smith Haven and one which reads Mazda. The Smith Haven sign has already been permitted. Mazda is what requires the variance. All the dealerships in the area have numerous wall signs, same nature and character, the name of the dealer, the manufacturer, and service signage in addition to that. I have several photographs just to show that we are in keeping with the neighborhood. I will submit them to the board. They are of Nissan, Honda, a Smith Haven, Dodge, Jeep. I also have Chevrolet, as well as Acura.
Thank you.
And the request for the additional square footage for a ground sign from 40 square feet to 125 square feet is required because they are changing the style to a solid monument sign, same style that you'll see at the Toyota down the road. The actual wording on the signage is Mazda with the logo. It's only 28 square feet. The remaining square footage of the sign is just solid black. It's more of a modern sign. It's trending in the dealerships right now, and they'd like to follow that trend. And the additional, the second ground sign that we're requesting is a directional, and it's needed to identify the drive-up service area that's along Astor. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer. I have a full set of plans on the signage.
First question I have is, where's the third ground sign?
It says service. It's N04, located right off of Astor Avenue. Oh, no, excuse me,
That's a
N06. So it's on the plan, N06. It does say service, and it's right.
That's the second one. I see there's a proposed ground sign in the front and a proposed ground sign at the service entrance, but they're asking, in the call of the meeting, they're asking for 3.
There is an existing sign that's there, that it was already permitted. That also, so there's a service sign on Middle Country Road. So this third ground sign, it's considered a third ground sign.
So this sign is the one that's a little bit further west?
So it would be located on Astor Avenue, and it's mimicking the sign that's existing on Middle Country Road.
Correct. The one that's existing is the one that's further west on Middle Country Road?
Yes. And it's 3 foot 4 inches in height, 4 feet 9 inches wide. Same proposal as the sign that's we'd like to put on Astor Avenue.
4, 5. One of the things is that the proposed sign number 1 at 125 square feet is considerably larger than this board typically approves. Usually when we approve a larger sign like that, there's some mitigating factor that we're trying to take care of. Is it far from the road? Is it not visible? Is it hidden behind something? This one seems to be right on Middle Country Road. Is there a reason that it can't be any smaller, given the fact that we're approving or may approve 2 other signs?
Well, the overall height, again, the signage is only 28 square feet. So if you took what's there now, so it's a pylon sign with 2 poles, and if you put a panel right in between that, you'd have the same square footage. So they're achieving, it's more of a modern look to fill in the gap beneath the signage area. So it's just a solid, it's not fully lit. The only portion that's lit is the 28 square feet on the top, the word Mazda.
Okay.
So again, it's almost identical to the Toyota sign, the monument sign they have about a quarter mile from here.
And did you get dimensions on the Toyota sign?
I don't have the exact dimensions, but I believe it's in the photograph.
That you turned in?
Yes. Don't know the exact dimensions of that one. Just check.
Yeah. Can you see these, Bill?
I don't have that one noted, I'm sorry.
So it's the same size as this one, right? The existing one.
It's
Just there.
bigger than the existing Mazda sign that's there, correct?
Square footage-wise, how you calculate it, yes. But overall, no. Because the top portion that's there now on top of the 2 poles, because it's considered a pylon and it has open space, you don't calculate that square footage.
Okay.
What are the other signs along Middle Country Road that I see here on the survey?
So there's an existing pylon, so that'll be removed and replaced with the new monument sign, which is solid, and that's N01. Should be noted on the plan.
Let's see, N01.
And there's a full set of plans attached to the application. I believe you should have that.
Right, I just see 1, 2, 3, 4 notations along Middle Country Road that say sign.
Okay, so there's a smaller service sign, which is 3 feet 4 inches by 4 foot 9 inches. And it just says service with the logo. So that's identical to the proposal that we have for Astor Avenue. And the other 2 are the wall signs. One which is currently permitted, that's Smith Haven, and the one that's before you, which is Mazda. So those are located on the wall.
Right, well, maybe if you take the mic, come here, I can show you what I'm talking about.
The microphone, please, so we can catch you.
Take it with me?
There's this one here, and this one here, and this one here, and this one here. Speak into the microphone.
So the proposed is here, this would be
Right.
removed.
Right.
This is the proposed, no, excuse me, this is proposed service sign. These two,
That wouldn't be one of these.
that's, excuse me, this is the existing service sign, this is the proposed service sign, which would be identical
So this would be
to this
coming
one.
down?
This will stay. This is a directional that'll note the entrance to the new drive-up service area here.
Okay.
This directional will remain.
So now you got 3
Right.
so far.
So these would be the 3 proposed ground signs, and here is the wall sign proposed, wall sign proposed.
Right, well then, if this is staying, then what is this one and this one and this one?
These are no longer relevant. I believe this is from an older plan. These are not relevant signs.
They don't exist anymore?
No.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So there'll be a total of 3 ground, you're proposing a total of 3 ground signs, existing and new.
That's correct.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions?
No question.
Planning?
Okay, I have a couple of questions. On the freestanding signs, this dealership used to be a Mitsubishi dealership also and had freestanding signs for that brand. Are those removed or going to be removed?
Removed.
Okay. I think those may be the ones that Steve was speaking of.
Right, that plan is slightly older, that survey.
Okay. And then also, planning has some concerns about the size of the freestanding sign. Freestanding signs that have been approved by this board recently have been in the size of the 70 to 90 square foot range. And it has been at least 12 years since a sign of this size has been approved. Granted, Toyota was one of the signs that was similar to this and approved it. It was actually larger than the 125.
Okay.
It was approved at 180.
Thank you.
In 2004.
Thank you.
Anyone in the audience like to be heard? Come on up.
I also have one other thing.
Mm-hmm.
We have an email and some pictures from one of the residents on Astor that I would like to give to
You
the
want to
board.
submit them for the record?
She brought these up.
Is it the same? Okay. Take that. Well, they're going to have to mark them.
And identify them.
Yeah. If you could, if you're going to submit anything for the record,
Okay.
Yeah.
if you could just put on these pictures who took them
I
and the case number on them, just so
Oh,
we can,
okay.
we'll
So
make them
sorry.
part of the record. You can do it after and turn
Okay,
them in if you want.
thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Irene Almeida. I live on 118 Astor Avenue, St. James, New York. The last time we were here, it was decided that 15 feet was sufficient. Now we're increasing that height to, on my paper, it doesn't say 19 feet. I believe it says 18 feet. This is a residential block. Middle Country Road is commercial. We do not need a Mazda sign to illuminate our homes any more than the existing parking lot does right now. There is an existing sign for service entrance in the front of the building. It's on that picture as I showed you. It is sufficient for anyone who is coming off of Middle Country Road to know you can't miss it. The service is there on your left or right, depending which way you're coming in. I did state the last time that I was here the concern about the service entrance being there. Someone on the board, unfortunately, I don't remember his name, I did agree with him, and I made it noted on the record that maybe it's something we should revisit. There's a lot of safety issues. I did send you some pictures there of, that vehicle was with no driver for over 10 minutes, literally parked in the middle of Astor Avenue and Middle Country. If you were coming into Middle Country, you couldn't come over there. It was only one way out. I'm not going to get into the parking scenario because that's another issue. It becomes a one-way street. As far as the signs are concerned, he's got so many signs there. And I understand talking about Toyota, but Toyota is on Middle Country. The sign is big. I see what the proposal was. But the view from where you are, if you're on Middle Country, to make a right onto Astor, it's like blocking. That sign would be
a big viewpoint of where you couldn't see turning in. It's a safety issue, once again. We have a restaurant on the other corner, and they do not have signs all along the side of that building. I feel that if there are signs, they should be only facing Middle Country because it is a business. It does have a sign. I understand having a service sign above the service entrance that's there now, but they're doing it all for cosmetic reasons. That's great, but the 15 feet that was agreed on with this board, I feel is sufficient. You can't miss saying service on it. To have so many signs on the grounds, I just don't feel it's necessary. You know, it's just, again, these things are going to be lit up, and my home, my bedrooms, face this. I've had issues. Traffic has tried to address them. That if you really literally put on every light that he has on that parking lot, I can make you all laugh and tell you, it looks like Ebbets Field. That's not necessary. And I just feel like you want to put a service entrance. When we drove down here today, we looked. Ford, I can list the other 20 dealerships, they only have one ground sign in front of their building. One, you know, and it's sufficient. It's not overwhelming. And their dealer buildings are much bigger, and they don't have it so covered. They have one sign on the side and a smaller sign for the service entrance. So I just feel that it's a little over the top and not necessary, because we are losing the fact that this is Astor Avenue. It's a residential home, you know, area. It's not commercial. And they removed the 6-foot fence that they've had there, which is another entity of issues, because their servicemen go through there constantly. And like I said, I just feel that we're losing sight of what community he's, you know, creating his business in. But it still is a community, a residential one at that. I can't say any more about it other than getting into other specifics about things that I know maybe the board doesn't think it has to do with the awning, but it does bring other issues into play.
Okay, thank you.
So, thank you so much. I'm sorry? Almeida, A-L-M-E-I-D-A. Thank you, sir.
And we have, I believe it was your email that you sent to the town council office?
Correct.
And that has been made part of the record.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that very much so.
Anyone else like to be heard? Come on up.
My name is Jacqueline Patterson, P-A-T-T-E-R-S-O-N. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I also live on Astor. I'm at 116. I've been a resident there for 11 years. I'm here tonight again to address the overhang and the additional signage requested. As it is, the lights from the rear parking lot feel like a football field when the sun goes down especially. Now, additional signage and increase of the sign will make matters much worse, leaving Astor Avenue to feel like we are commercially zoned instead of residentially zoned. There certainly won't be much value or will help the value of our homes. Furthermore, I feel the more upgrades this dealership does, the more signs, the busier it looks, the busier it will become, and the more negative effect it will have on Astor Avenue. I have another huge concern. I have a 15-year-old son that will be driving soon. And as it gets really busy on that street with the parking and all the cars and all the service on the side on Astor, I'm worried about him coming out of our driveway. I'm worried as an adult coming out of the driveway. I'm already preparing him to never go down that street that way, which is south. And I'm worried about his safety and well-being. You know, as I drove here today, growing up in this neighborhood, all the dealerships, I really never noticed, but until today, having to come here, I noticed that all the signs are on Jericho. And most of the dealerships have a perpendicular road leading into a development. Right next door, Ford, there's only signs in the front. Honda, there's only signs in the front. There's nothing. It's clean going down the streets. Astor has become a joke. You can't even drive down the street. And now with service and being more official, it's going to make it worse. I see the sign's very pretty, the new sign, the black solid one, but I'm nervous that now making a right from Jericho onto Astor, or vice versa, leaving Astor, that sign without the pylons, and now it's solid, is that going to obstruct, visual? Because they park their cars on Jericho, you can't even see as it is. So that was my big concern also. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to be here? Come on up.
Hello.
Good
My
evening.
name's Orslina Demichiel, Orsolina, and then Demichiel. I live directly across from the dealership at 120 Astor Avenue. And I agree with my neighbors. I have to say, I've lived there my whole life. I'm 29 years old. It's only been the past couple of years that it's been very difficult to get in and out of my own driveway. And I agree with everything they said. I don't want to be repetitive. I know it's a long night. But I can't see these signs making it any better. It's not really necessary. And again, with the Toyota too, it's not affecting residential like it is for us. And then also, just to put it on the record, it floods. I know it's a separate issue. There's always been a fence and they've taken care of their property and they're not. So they're investing in unnecessary signs instead of actually taking care of things that they should. I think it's wrong, and they're our neighbors too. It doesn't feel that way. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to be heard on this application?
Good evening. My name is Bob Ranieri, R-A-N-I-E-R-I. I live at 83 Astor Avenue, and although not directly affected the signage, the increase in the business on the block has made traffic very, very difficult. And the other issue is the parking. They just park all along the street, and it makes it much more difficult to go up and down the block. So it's almost to the point of not being a very good neighbor at this point, and hopefully they can reconsider doing some of the things that will help the neighborhood be more of a residential neighborhood than a business neighborhood. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
Oh, no, she wants to come back.
Sorry, if we want to hear what you have about to say about their concern.
So I've noted all the concerns, and I'm not discounting anything because I don't live there. So I took notes on everything. I know that I believe it was the first two who had mentioned that the signs shouldn't be facing Astor Avenue. I just wanted to note that the wall sign that's proposed wouldn't be facing Astor Avenue. It is technically on the front of the building, facing toward Middle Country. So it wouldn't be pointing out to the residents across the street, just to clear that up, because I know sometimes when you get something in the mail, you're not quite sure what the proposal is. It just seems out of hand and not clear, so I wanted to just let you know that. And the
While you're on that one wall sign,
Yes.
what's the proposed height of N04?
So the N04 is 1 foot 9 inches in height over
proposed-
all the letters.
Uh-huh.
Just the size of the signage, or?
No, the height above ground.
Oh, so that is, let me just look at the plan. Just make sure I have the correct. That one. That is over the service entrance, so there are 2 bays, and the height is, overall, that building is 21 feet, and the height proposed is...
Top of the sign, what's the height
To the top, I'm looking, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to get through all the... It's not on, hold on a second, it's not on this one. It's just over the bay door, so I don't have the exact dimension on that.
I'm just trying to figure out which sign
Oh,
you're
it's not
you're
called out
requesting a
on here.
19-foot
I
height.
apologize.
That's
It's
okay.
The actual height is not noted on here. It's right over the bay door, so it's got to be somewhere around 14 feet. But this drawing's
don't
not
have
to
a frame.
scale.
Well, my question to you would be then, there are two wall signs proposed. The one on the front of the building, is it safe to assume that that's the one you're proposing to 19 feet? You have it delineated as N02 on the site plan?
That's the one that's going to be at 18 feet. That's the Mazda.
Okay, so that one is the one that you're requesting the relief for. The other one would then be within whatever the allowable height is, which is 15 feet.
Right.
Okay. And then one of the other concerns they had was the additional service sign on Astor Avenue. First off, is that proposed to be illuminated?
It is, yes, the smaller sign, the directional sign, yes. So it's 3 feet 4 inches overall height, 4 feet 9 inches wide. So it's a solid black panel, and the only thing that's illuminated on it is the small lettering that says service. They are on timers. They will be turned off when the business is closed. So they don't emit very much light. They are LED. They're low wattage. They're small directional signs.
Well,
So I don't know that it would have an impact, but I'm sure that it's something that they could address.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems a little bit redundant if you're going to have a proposed wall sign that says service essentially 20 feet away from a ground sign that says service, both of them being illuminated. I kind of agree that it may be a little bit impacting on those.
Understood. Yeah, that's something that we could take into consideration, absolutely.
Okay.
Or maybe just a small spotlight on the sign itself facing up into the sign rather than illuminating out. I'm sure that's an option, something very low wattage.
I'm sorry. Which way does N04 face?
Faces to Middle Country Road. So it's located, oh, you don't have the.
You want to pull, can you pull N04 up there? Nope,
No, I don't think they have it.
nope. That would be it. On the left-hand side, correct?
So on the bottom, right over the bay doors, it actually faces, though, if you're looking at the plot plan or the survey, it faces Middle Country Road. So as you're driving down Astor from Middle Country, that's how you would see it. You wouldn't see it. I'm sorry, would you repeat that?
Would you be able to see the illumination of that sign from Astor?
No, not necessarily, unless you are, it doesn't face Astor, so I don't see how you would technically see that it's illuminated. You'd have to be coming from Middle Country Road, turning right and heading north on Astor in order to see it. So if you're heading south on Astor, you wouldn't see it at all until you arrived at the directional, which would tell you to turn into that side service entrance, which wasn't there previously. So it's kind of the point, just to keep people from sort of driving around aimlessly or going on to Middle Country when they shouldn't be, or passing the entrance and then possibly making a U-turn because they've missed it. So if they don't turn in on Middle Country Road, they'll turn onto Astor and then enter the service area on that side.
Okay.
But I'm sure they would take into consideration changes to the illumination of that sign as a condition
Okay.
for the neighbors, absolutely. We could definitely take back any suggestions
Yeah,
and work with the neighborhood.
I'm sure there'll be plenty.
Okay, yeah, definitely, we're open to that.
All right, anything else?
The fence, I don't know anything about the fence because we were not contracted with the fence, so I'm sorry, I can't address the fence. I don't know why it was taken down or if it's being replaced or relocated, I don't know, so that would be a separate issue.
Yeah, and they can always contact the town.
Yeah, I
public
can't address the
safety
fence,
for-
so I apologize for that. And parking on the street, again, I don't know about any employees or service utilizing the street. I can't address that, I don't know.
It's
So I
not part of this
apologize. I
application.
can't address that issue.
I have one more question.
Sure.
On N06, the sign that's facing Astor, who are you looking to see that sign? Somebody who's coming from Middle Country Road making a right on Astor?
So, yeah, if they're traveling north onto Astor, they would, yeah, that would be
So,
noted
but
there,
you
or
certainly
traveling
wouldn't-
south on Astor.
So you would be, so you're looking to, because I was thinking that if you're only concerned with people coming from Middle Country Road, then the sign could be facing Middle Country Road and be in the same spot, and it wouldn't annoy the neighbors as much.
So it's approximately the size of the poster, just so you can get a feel for the size of the sign. So it's sort of as you're approaching, just to know that that's where you are turning in, just to indicate that it is a different service area.
Okay.
All right. Anything else?
No, that's it.
All right. That being said,
Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Regularly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Careful, there's pictures in there.
No, no, that's not yours.
The next case is 18174, Frederick and Nicole Sarnelli, located at 11 Farmstead Road, Comac. The property is zoned R10 residential. The applicant requests a variance to reduce the minimum side yard from 12 feet to 7 feet, and to reduce the total side yards from 28 feet to 21 feet, to reduce the minimum required rear yard from 50 feet to 30 feet for an existing 12-foot by 24-foot above-ground pool with attached 1,028 square foot bi-level deck, and to increase the height of a rail, post, or wall on a deck from 4 feet to 7 feet.
Good evening.
Good evening. Frederick Sarnelli, Sarnelli, 11 Farmstead Road, Comac, New York. And I'm here seeking 3 variances for the 2 decks, one that was existing, one, the top deck was existing, the bottom deck we just built around the pool, and there's lattice above the railings on the top deck, so that would go from 4 feet to 7 feet.
All right. You want to try and address some of the 5 considerations just so we have something to work with?
Yeah. The top deck we bought, that was all there. The only thing I did was replace the, rotten wood and stuff like that. I put Trex down, so this way here it was stable. The bottom deck, we put a pool in, and then we put a deck around the pool, so that was on us. We built that extension, which that leads from, the top deck leads to the bottom deck. And the lattice, we just put above the railings for extra privacy.
Okay. Anyone on the board have any questions?
No question.
No? Planning?
No question.
Just one thing, we received some comments from another property owner at 11 Farmstead Road. I want to give those to the board for included in the record.
Okay. Thank you. That's it?
Oh, that's it.
Anyone in the audience have any questions or concerns? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second?
Regularly moved in second. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Thank you. Got it.
Okay, the next application is 18175, Gerald and Christina Sespuguli, located at 19 Farmstead Road, Comac. The property is zoned R10 residence. The applicant requests a variance to reduce the minimum rear yard from 50 feet to 42 feet, and to reduce the total side yards from 28 feet to 26 feet for an existing 232 square foot deck.
Good evening.
Hi, I'm Christina Sespuglio, Cespuglio. I'm requesting a variance for a deck in our backyard that was existing when we purchased the house that we didn't know was not legal.
Okay. Anyone on the board have any questions? Planning?
Just again, I received some comments from the adjoining property owner regarding this application, and he wasn't able to come, and I said I would give them to the board.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone from the audience have any questions or concerns? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Can I just ask you a question?
Yeah.
Can I come up there without speaking or no?
Yeah. Yeah, if you're not. Did you want a copy of the comments?
Yes, because we have an order of protection.
Okay, you have to just, it's got to be on the record if we're going to, we can give her a copy of the comments if they're part of the record, correct?
It's part of the public record, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Do you have an extra copy? Actually, we have. Oh,
Okay, that's it. If I can have a copy, that'd be great.
absolutely. It's part of
Thank
the
you.
public record, so.
Great, thank you.
You want to, you can just grab it from him after, it's fine. All right, did we close? Regularly moved, did you second it?
Yes, I do.
Regularly moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, case is closed, thank you. Take that. Take that. One more, Bill.
The next
There we go.
case is 18176, James and Karen Amato, located at 16 Pimlico Drive, Comac. The property is zoned R43 residence. The applicant requests a variance to reduce the minimum side yard from 24 feet to 6 feet, and to reduce the total side yards from 60 feet to 33 feet for an existing 150 square foot shed.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Karen Amato, A-M-A-T-O. I live at 16 Pimlico Drive in Comac. We are looking to get the variance for our existing shed. It existed when we purchased the home. It is set far back from the street, so it's not visible. The property that we have actually is on a grade beyond our pool, so it grades down. So if we needed to move the pool, it would be more difficult because it wouldn't be steady ground. So where it is now, it is steady. Again, the shed was there prior to our ownership, and that's about it.
All right. Anyone on the board have any questions?
No question.
Planning?
Oh, we have no questions.
Anyone in the audience? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Regularly moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
That's it for the cases for this evening. We have an adjourned case, I believe.
Yes, we have one adjourned case.
One adjourned case.
It is case 1-18165, Deanna Lello, located at 17 Mills Path, Lake Ronkonkoma. The property is zoned R10 residence. The applicant requests a variance to reduce the minimum front yard from 25 feet to 10 feet for a 114 square foot proposed porch and a 96 square foot first floor addition. And to reduce the minimum rear yard from 35 feet to 29 feet and the front yard from 25 feet to 14 feet for a 983 square foot second floor addition. They seek a variance to permit environmentally sensitive lands to be altered where the depth to water is equal or less than 10 feet, and to permit a second one-story family dwelling on an R10 lot for the proposed temporary trailer 14 by 52 feet.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. My name is Diana Lello,
Dianna, last name Lello.
Would you like the gentleman to speak on your behalf?
Yes, Michael?
Okay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Michael Morbillo, architect and Inspire Design Group. I have offices located at 273 Lake Avenue in St. James, New York. As stated on the call, this application is for a second floor addition and a front porch addition. It's an existing non-conforming lot, basically. What we're proposing is one of the requests is for a front porch. Presently on the house, there's a small existing porch, which it comes in about 4 feet. It's a very small one that's just over the front door. I can submit some pictures. It's been on the front of the house for many decades. What we're looking to do, there it is. There's a picture right there. There's a small porch that's there. We're looking, as part of the design with the second floor, is to incorporate a porch across the front of the house. So that's the nature of the encroachment. We're not looking to expand the living space any closer than it presently is. We are looking to put on a second floor on the residence, as you can see from the elevations. One other thing that we are looking to do is we are looking to expand the footprint to the north of the residence, and that is the second request, which is to reduce the front yard from 25 to 22. So with an existing 14-foot setback. So the front of the house is 14 feet. We're proposing this area, which is basically for a set of stairs to go up to the second floor. The setback from that, I'll call it sort of a stair tower, is 22 feet. So that's the second encroachment. We're also looking to reduce the rear yard. Presently, it's 31 feet from the rear yard setback. We are looking to do a slight cantilever out the back, which is about 2 feet. So that's where we're not increasing the bottom footprint of the house, but with that cantilever, we're adding another 2 feet, so that's going to further diminish the existing 31-foot setback to a 29-foot setback. We did get a soil test to determine the groundwater. The soil test was taken at the front of the property, and it was found at a depth of about 6 feet. This house is on a hill, so approximately 2/3 of the property is not environmentally sensitive. It's just the front third of the property is where what would be considered environmentally sensitive, and that is also a pre-existing condition. The last request for a trailer, during construction, they'd like to have a trailer. It should be noted that this is the last house on the block, so it's basically at the end of a dead end. It's also downhill from other residences that are behind it. So the location of the trailer in the side yard is going to have a very minimal impact on the neighborhood. And it is basically just being requested temporarily, certainly. And we would certainly accept any conditions that the board would have to have the trailer removed within a reasonable time upon completion of the construction. So we'd certainly accept any conditions that the board, should they choose to approve the request. Certainly, this request will not have a substantial impact on the character of the neighborhood. The block is mixed with 1- and 2-story residences, and there are other colonial 2-story type structures or homes on this block. It's not going to have an environmental impact on the surrounding area. We are close to what's basically a preserve. It's accommodating our property, the Lily Pond Preserve. Anything that we do will be contained on site as far as any runoff. The requests are not substantial relative to the existing conditions. So, on paper, some of the requests can sound like, hey, there's some substance here, but relative to the existing nonconformities, it's not substantial. There is no other way of adding more space without having a larger footprint. So I think it's most efficient if we go up with the addition. They're basically looking to put a couple of bedrooms upstairs. Their house does not have a large footprint to begin with, and they did not create the conditions of their property, so it was not self-created. So if the board has any questions at this time, I'd be happy to answer them.
I do. How long do you think you need the trailer for?
The expected time of construction is about 6 months. So everything would occur within 6 months. Certainly within, I would say within 30, 60 days, whatever's reasonable on this, whatever the board has approved in the past from completion of construction, that trailer would be out of there. So we wouldn't expect construction to take any more than 6 months. Certainly, the permit's good for a year. We want to be done well within that time frame. So we would ask respectfully that whatever is a reasonable time frame, if it's 30 or 60 days from completion of construction, that if that condition is considered, that we'd find that acceptable.
Typically,
certainly not to exceed a year.
Yeah, well, that was my concern, is that we had visited this site a
Yeah.
couple weeks ago, and it's an extremely unique lot. It's kind of
Mhm.
quaint, but it's so tiny at the end there that
Yeah.
any kind of increased occupancy is going to be impactful on the neighbors, and we want
Yeah.
to make sure that we limit that time frame.
Certainly.
Do you feel that if normally what we do is we tie the removal of the trailer to the issuance of a CO? I think this case, it may warrant us actually making it time specific, where you get
Yeah, so
within 60 days of the issuance of a CO or 1 year, whichever is less.
I think
because-
that's more than reasonable. They actually have a builder selected who they would like to build the project. So they're ready to move forward. I think they don't anticipate it certainly being a year, but we don't know circumstances, but certainly a time cap of a year.
Yeah.
So you're not renewing the permit and other things is
Exactly.
certainly reasonable, yes.
All right, thank you. Anyone else on the board have any questions?
No question.
Planning?
I only have a couple of questions. Is this proposed addition going to have a basement? And the other question
Yeah.
is related to the temporary trailer, but I think we already discussed that.
Yeah, it will have a basement. There is a basement or a partial basement underneath the house right now. So the stairs that we're proposing, there's going to be stairs that lead down to the basement as part of that little jut out that you see that's on the north side of the property. It's, I think, like 6 by 16. That area's housing a set of stairs. They kind of already have like a not-to-code stair that's inside the house. It's like a basement access ladder of sorts. It's a non-code stair, so we're trying to improve that. So, but there's already a partial basement underneath the house. We're not really expanding it. We're just adding a stair that leads down to that partial basement.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
That's all.
Anyone in the audience have any questions or concerns? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Regularly moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
And that concludes the portion of our hearings for this evening.